Hi, and welcome to another video from the Matchmaker Group. My name is Myles. To my left I have Paul.
Hello.
And to my right I have Simon.
Hello.
So, panel is together today to talk about home loans, 30-year debt sentence. Simon, you had some pretty scary stats the other day on that.
Yeah, definitely. Over the last 30 years, there's been a 600% increase in the number of Australians that have a mortgage. By the time they get to 55 and 64, when they want to actually retire, they still have a mortgage, and their superannuation isn't really enough to pay that out and still lead them a comfortable lifestyle.
So you're trying to retire with debt.
We're trying to not retire.
Well, that's what people are doing.
That's what
we're trying to avoid. But that's what the stats are saying. That's what is happening at the moment.
That
people
is
are
what is
retiring
happening.
with debt.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And interestingly, I think that that point is exacerbated, get that word out, by the influx of property investment and the notion that you borrow for the investment property, but you never pay the debt off because you want to grow the equity in the property. And the focus is on the growth of the capital asset of the property. It's not about debt reduction. And in fact, there's some a strong focus on maximising your debt at all times for your investment property, which makes no sense in reality.
Good debt.
Good debt and bad debt. Now,
You still owe the money.
That's right. Now, at the end of the day, if you have to have debt, then it's better for that debt to be tax deductible than not. But if you don't have
to get 30 cents,
correct, because what's missing in the equation here is if you don't have to have debt, it is far better not to. What's better? Think about it. What's better? Having an investment property worth $500,000 that you owe $500,000 on, and by the time your rent comes in, your payments go out, etc., you make a loss. So hey, you get a tax deduction. Brilliant. Negatively geared. How good's that? It's only negatively geared because you've spent money on holding the property. Now,
but we see people say, but it's only costing me a cup of coffee.
That's usually an outright lie. But if you do the real math, that's not actually the case. But the issue is, and if you look at that example, compare that to owning a property freehold, where you're getting the rent in. Oh my God, I have to pay tax. I have to pay tax on the
That's
income.
because you've earned money?
That's because you've earned money. At the end of the day, you've got more money in your pocket than you have with the negative gearing. Now, where negative gearing does make sense and it helps, if you've got personal home loan debt, then you borrow for the investment property. And so long as you're making those repayments to a debt reduction perspective, you make those payments. Instead of directing the extra payments onto your investment debt, you direct it onto your non-investment debt and accelerate your debt reduction in your non-investment debt. That makes sense.
So your bad debt, if you were to use your good debt, bad
correct.
debt,
But
where you were going before.
But the key ingredient here is debt reduction. So you're taking this investment loan. Now the idea is you're really supposed to be paying a principal and interest payment on that investment loan. Now, if you choose to take an interest-only payment on that loan and just hold your debt, that's fine if you're paying the extra money onto your non-deductible debt. The problem is, over time, the particularly interest-only finance has become an affordability mechanism. Your cup of coffee a day. Okay,
so easy way to get in.
You look at the math behind that, and it's all based on carrying your debt forever and ever and ever, and hoping to God that your asset grows in value. Now, the idea of property investment, of course, is your asset grows in value. But that's only one part of the equation for equity and value in your property.
And like any investment, it's a long-term strategy as well.
Exactly right. Yeah. But if you include debt reduction in your strategy, then you've got potential property growth and you've got debt reduction. So all of a sudden, your net asset position, your equity in that property is twofold. Your loan goes down, your property goes up. You create equity by reducing debt. Even if your capital growth is slow, stagnant, takes a long time, not a lot, but you've paid that debt down, you've created equity. And you can use that equity for other investment or not.
Get another investment property.
Yep, or you can sell it, cash it in, what have you. So it's really important that you have a debt reduction strategy overall. Forget the tax deduction. The tax deduction is nice and it is a tool that's appropriately used, as long as it's appropriately used, which in a lot of cases it's not. But at the end of the day, you only get a deduction because you're making a loss. Bottom line is you're getting a 30% reduction in your tax bill because you've lost $1.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Costing you to do it.
Yep.
So flip it around, and earn the dollar, pay the 30 cents, it still means that you got 70 cents more in your pocket than what you did yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. And you use that to reduce your debt. And that's where our program, My Mortgage Minimiser, comes in. We're all about debt reduction. I've worked in this industry since 1988, and I've had client after client, investor after investor, just drown in debt and just carry debt forever and ever and ever.
And retire with debt.
And try and retire with debt.
Yeah.
Do you know how many clients that I've had? Because we've got a financial planning business as well. Now, do you know how many clients we've had come to us in their late 50s, early 60s, dragging a whole heap of investment properties behind them with a whole lot of debt? Their net asset position in a lot of these cases is very minimal. So they end up having just to dump the whole, they have to liquidate the whole lot in one lump sum. If they're lucky, they come out break even, or they might end up with 100 grand after 15 years of debt reduction and refinancing every 5 years.
Which could cause some other issues, which we won't necessarily talk about in this video, but in not having the appropriate strategy, you could actually be deferring a potential liability even further in relation to taxation.
100%. Yeah, 100%. So ultimately, whatever investment strategy you've got, if it involves debt, if it involves borrowing money to achieve your outcomes, you have to have a debt reduction strategy. Now, that, particularly in the last 20 years, has been completely ignored. In fact, it's been encouraged to ignore it because it serves the purpose for those who want to sell properties, who want to sell finance. They try and make it sound like it's only a small cost. You can have a $500,000 property for $10 a week. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to anyone?
It's going to take more than your lifetime to pay it back at $10 a week.
Now the thing is,
if you do pay it.
I can create a spreadsheet and put numbers in there and convince you it costs you $10 a week. But it doesn't in reality. You have to have a debt reduction strategy.
Great. So that's why we wanted to get the panel together today to talk about that. So if what we're saying is resonating for you, or you've got some further questions on, please contact us and we can help you from here. So thanks for joining us, and we look forward to you joining us in the next one.